there. Some of the tutorials are more, aimed at like Arduino, but if you can read them, kind of start to like figure out what libraries, implement the sensors you're using, and you can translate those things into JavaScript pretty easily. And then once you're more smarter than me, there's other sites out there that offer the same components for cheaper, often without some of the same kind of helpful helper, silicon bits around it. So other things you can do, well actually, so how am I doing on time?
Doing all right.
I was going to start a timer, I forgot to. So the other thing I did not kind of hook up or show in this presentation, this is my Wi-Fi grill temperature creation. Oh,
Move that way.
Move it in front of the camera.
In front of the little camera.
So right here I've got my Wi-Fi grill temperature sensor, and so I've got a thermal pile, I want to say a thermistor maybe, hooked up to via SPI to my Raspberry Pi. And the idea is I stick this in my grill, I can access it over my iPhone, and then when I know I can be in another part of the house and know when it's time to put charcoal onto the grill, kind of a thing. 'Cause charcoal I think you lose about 50 degrees every hour or so, but sometimes you gotta take your pigs seriously. You gotta do it right.
Can you just make a pie to add the charcoal for you?
Well,
Again, another topic.
yeah, that would be interesting. Well, actually, that was one of the things that led to this. Was last year, my brother-in-law actually does do a pig roast for the neighborhood, and he usually stays up all night to feed the fire. I was like, oh, I'll figure something out for you. And I finally got something for him this year, fortunately. So other things you can do with the Raspberry Pi that are not JavaScript related, you can use them as an AirPlay target. So, Apple World, you can play to and have it hooked up to a stereo or a TV or something like that. It doesn't do video output. Wireless print server and Xbox Media Center are all other interesting things to kind of look at. For a while, I tried to have a DHCP DNS server run off there that with like load balancing and failover and that kind of stuff, and that did not work very well for me. So I think the guys who wrote that did not account for like having two different endgame platforms talk to each other. And that led to some interesting stuff. But so this is Node.js, so I should really get back to
The coffee script?
the coffee script.
So is that the real-time polling right now then?
Yeah. And yeah, that is the temperature at my house right now.
That's warm.
It's kind of creepy though.
Well, the room that thermometer in gets a lot of sun, and it's like an opposite where the furnace temperature gauge is. Which actually, so one of the things I've been thinking about. So if I go back to this guy, and I go back to my old data, we rerun that. What are my thoughts for this? Like temperature data, that's not that interesting, but it's kind of interesting to watch, especially when it was the Arctic blast, your furnace try to keep up, or like how often your furnace, cycles or duties and that kind of stuff. You figure out like temperature schemes for your house and everything else. I don't know, maybe I have too much free time on my hands, but I like to save money when it comes to heating and that kind of stuff. But you can start to see like those long arcs, right? That's where the house is set back, and the spikes where it's kind of, that's where we've got the temperature cranked for people that live at home. You can start to kind of mess with that kind of stuff. As far as one-wire sensors go, there's also a two-way switch I think you can buy that also talks over the one-wire network. So within the realm of possibilities, I could run a wire over to the furnace and make my own kind of nest, right? So all I've got to do is start to send in the right information. The other plan I had for that device is it can also sense whether or not circuits are open or closed. And I wanted to add that to my garage end so I could see whether or not my garage is open or closed, and close it if necessary over the internet.
So no one would ever hack into that. No, I've seen a lot of people do exactly the same thing.
Yep. Well, yeah, I definitely would not recommend leaving that on an open port.
How many inputs could it have on the one-wire network? Like how many
That's a good question. I don't
temperature
know.
sensors could you wire up?
That's a good question.
Did you do the serial probably, or did you do star?
I've got a serial network right now, so I want to say, so it goes from the downstairs to the upstairs to the garage to outside, I want to say. I think I did have at one point, there was kind of a star in there also. I think you can kind of mix and match.
Is it?
Go back to that ring.
Yeah.
The Java ring.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
That's right.
Well, I mean, so that's the same thing as like the
Just
you know,
go
so
with the
there's-
ring.
Crash.
Cast it into the volcano.
So it's like the same, there's two sides to it. There's like, usually like a little memory space on there. A lot of batteries are actually incorporated in one-wire devices. So if you want to like hack your battery, which is a little strange for buying battery as a microcontroller. That's right, so we were talking about, yeah, so I find that a little interesting.
What's the bottom yellow line, the orange line, I suppose?
That's the garage. So our garage is not insulated. But it is a little warmer than outside. It's unfortunate that there isn't an outside temperature sensor going right now. The wife is really big into gardening and aquariums. And on my list of things to do is there's a waterproof one-wire sensor that's the exact same thing, and it's gonna go into the aquarium so we can, see what the aquarium's up to, I guess. When the heater dies, is I think what the big worry is there. And then on the gardening front, there's soil moisture gauges you can buy. You can dip those in the soil. I don't know.
I mean, for fish tanks, there's other sensors like pH probes and stuff like that as well. So I know the people have done similar things.
Do you know of anybody that has set up like an adaptive home thermostat like monitoring system?
I do
If
not.
your furnace has multiple fans, you can have it try to figure out.
So like a having system.
Multi-zone and that
That'd
kind of
be
stuff.
really,
Yeah.
that'd be kind of cool.
It's actually what I was looking into is doing multi-zone on our house.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine you could probably make your own multi-zone kind of system. Although, I'd wonder if when you came to sell, I'm sure the home inspector would about that kind of system.
But you'd sell it in a heartbeat to another geek. So it's all good.
That's true. Yeah.
Comes with one Raspberry Pi.
Throw it in.
So I guess that's all I've got content-wise, unless there's any other questions or.
Are you going to share that list of links somewhere?
Yeah. Yeah, so I've got this up there, which does have the source and the thing I was talking about. There isn't really a whole lot to it. We've got TempsDB, we've got our Express app, and then, Index has not much in it, and then we've got our stuff that runs on the front end. Pretty much 2 files.
actually logged into your Raspberry Pi that's at your home while you're doing this.
Yep.
What are you using, networking wise in order to make that happen?
I've got, at home, I guess a gigabit Ethernet network that goes everywhere. And it's got some Apple Airport Expresses, I wanna say.
Like you have dynamic DNS, or are you using reverse proxy on a
Right,
remote server?
or have you assigned it a static IP?
Yeah, okay, so we've got a network, right, and that's hooked up to Charter Internet. And on that Charter Internet, I've got, it's called Dynamic DNS. And so it like registers its IP. So I've got like a DNS name that more often than not points back to where my house is. Your IP address is pretty static, so it's pretty rare that it's not that. And then I've just got SSH set up, forwarded to a virtual machine inside my network that only accepts public key authentication. And then there I hopped onto my Raspberry Pi over SSH. Does that help?
And your static IP on the Raspberry Pi on your internal network?
No. It grabs a DHCP address, and I use the Avanti daemon, I want to say. With like the zero, I think it's like called zero DNS, or Apple called it one juror at one point. I don't know what it's called anymore.
Zero config.
Zero config. And so you use like Raspberry Pi.local to find where it is. If I have problems, I tail the DHCP server's log to figure out what's going on in my network. If I can't find it, but more often than not, it kind of registers itself and I can find it. But yeah, if this was like a production, going back to if this was production, DHCP would not be probably the way to go as far as how you would do that network-wise.
You could solder a connector on the circuit board of that you solder the temperature sensor to, right? Instead of dragging the wires out of it, and then just had a Cat5 connectors on both ends.
You'd solder to
That little circuit board that you have the temperature, so 33 lead temperature sensor on.
yeah. Oh yeah, you definitely could. I'd have to call you though, because I'm not that good at soldering.
Yeah.
I went with what would work for me, so.
Yeah.
I thought about that, but have you had good luck with doing that kind of stuff?
We used to build like standalone computers with cars.
I know who to call now.
That's one of my only talents I've ever had, probably is soldering. Too bad it's terrible for your lungs.
Another quick, I have a question. Why use the Cat5 cable instead of just regular 1 or 2 wire cables?
I had it lying around mostly. You can go to like Home Depot and buy 1,000 feet for like $50, or you used to be able to before copper was cheap. And so I use Cat5 cable as like close line.
It's strong too.
I think I have I use that as like rope for camping. Might not be the best. I wouldn't reuse it if I did that.
Ties
but-
it to sleeping.
So is there a one-wire humidity sensor?
What was that
Is
again?
there like a one-wire humidity sensor? You could
Yep.
bring up in your clothesline?
Nice.
There is. The humidity sensors are actually surprisingly expensive.
Alright, for vacuums and stuff, yeah.
I want to say they're like in the $15 range, which is a lot for a sensor. It's not.
It'd be good to control bathroom fans though.
Yeah, make sure
Integrate that into your HVAC system.
Yep. Well, and so and I've got a one-wired network is very old school. On my list of things to do is I want to make an investment, because that's what it seems like in Zigbee, which is a wireless mesh networking protocol that seems like you can talk to one-wire devices from it. and that would start to open up, getting further out in my house, not have to snake wires everywhere.
Are there
Because
any wireless
so
power-
running the wires was tricky at our house, because our house is like built in 51, so it's not exactly, it was barely designed for telephone.
Are there any wireless power options? I'm not even, like, I know nothing about this stuff, but,
Not that I know of.
yeah. Theoretically.
Well, and another question that I had is, so you have the sensor running over Cat5. I'm just curious, did you look into or do you know if there are power constraints when you're running over that long distance? How much of a drop is there in the Cat5 voltage, and if that's affecting your sensor results?
Yeah, it's less about the power drop than the data communication. Like if that's anywhere near a high bit rate, you can't go super far. But that wiki page that he pulled up on OneWire probably has guidelines in there for maximum length.
Right.
I'm
So
surprised you're not over that, but
So when you would get bad temperature readings, you get CLC.
correct. Yeah, you'd start seeing CRC errors, or you would get nothing at some point in time. And if you also listed I2C and SPI, those can't go anywhere near the distance you're getting out of your OneWire. So
No, you're correct. The nice thing about OneWire is it's very kind of flexible. The SPI and all the other ones, I mean, you need more wires, and they're like I think they're serial
they're limited
protocols.
in length. Like you're not supposed to go more than a meter or something with SPI.
But I think they're a little faster as far as talking to them goes. Like
Oh, yeah.
reading the OneWire files and everything else. It takes a little bit for the communication and everything else to happen. So it's different drawbacks and appliances to the other kinds of. I want to say like you can go about maybe 1,000 feet on the OneWire, maybe.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
It's RS-232.
No,
When he says serial, he means it's wired serial.
well, it's serial in that it's 1 bit at a time, but it's not RS-232. It's a combined data and clock, and it's bidirectional. So for a while, the host talks, and then the device talks back on the same wire. Plus, as he said, some of these devices also parasitically draw power from that same wire too, so they're actually powering themselves and using it as a transceiver.
To work like a POTS line then?
In so much as it's voltage on a wire, yeah. You wouldn't hook it up to your telephone though, because when the phone rang, you would blow up your OneWire device.
Actually, I take that back. I think it's 100 meters.
That's pretty far.
Cat 5 and Cat 6, the maximum recommended length is 100 meters. After that, you start getting data rates.
And
So in that case, you put multiple Raspberry Pis on your wireless network and you shoot data between them.
Yep, or you could maybe use like a Zigbee as a bridge. But I haven't made that, started to mess around with that stuff yet.
Zigbee's nice too if the thing that you're measuring moves around and is not something that can be wired, like your cat's temperature sensor.
Yep.
Where's the sensor go?
How do you catch that sensor? Is that a core temperature sensor?
No, the other way. Okay, I guess that's all I got.
Neat stuff. Love it.
Just gonna.
So I'm just gonna do a quick lightning talk here, and then maybe we can count off for books.